G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of SuperCoach Edge and another entry for all things BBL SuperCoach. And as I record this, we are currently, I think it's around about 3 hours away from the BBL season kicking off between the Scorchers and the Stars. And boy, am I excited, like I imagine you are. But I'm here to drop my, final. Now I'm going to say final in inverted commas here because as we know with the nature of BBL, things are very fluid and they change ever so rapidly. So with regards to my team being finalised, it may change maybe one or two players. I don't think anything more than that, but it is obviously dependent upon once we see team sheets as they are released. Now, we have word of the Stars and Scorchers teams, obviously, given they are playing first up. But I think outside of that, we'll need to be fluid. And, it's kind of, for those people that have played SuperCoach BBL in the past, it is, always changing, always moving, and hence the reason why I talk about it being so fluid. So you need to be on your toes, and that's, I guess, the one downside when it comes to BBL or the SuperCoach side of the BBL format is because you need to be sort of finger on the pulse and across news as it comes to hand. So we are here, as I said, to unveil our team as it stands heading into round one. So without further ado, let us do that. But before I do that, I should mention as well that we do have a open league code, which I will whack up on screen in a moment. You'll see it beneath me on the window here if you're watching us on YouTube, but I will, of course, read that out for those people tuning in via the audio podcast. So having said that as well, we have actually made it's limited to 20 players league. So if you are keen to jump into a league with myself, you can do so. And I do have 5 spots remaining in a special league, which will be containing some of the SuperCoach royalty, we'll call them. Abs Magic, we have JP, I think it was a 2022 winner of AFL SuperCoach. He is in there along with a couple of other content creators, Spills and whatnot as well. So I will be dropping both codes. So as I said, limited spots. Feel free to jump in though. Outside of that, we do have the open league, which is obviously unlimited spots. So feel free to jump into that as well when I do announce those codes. But I will announce the codes for the special leagues at some point in this video, or the audio as you are tuning in via podcast. So make sure to be watching or listening throughout, and I will be dropping that at some stage. But without further ado, let us jump across to our team and unveil it for the final time as we head into the season proper. So here it is, and first things first, as you can see beneath me here on the window, the BBL SuperCoach Edge Open League code is 977381. So 977381. So punch that in to your the league area of the SuperCoach website or app and punch in that code and you will have entry into our open league. And you'll be battling up against me and a few others as well. I have spotted Brain, the SuperCoach content creator as well, from Insight Fantasy Sports. Horse, another one is who I forgot to mention, who is in our exclusive league that we do have 5 spots open for. But without further ado, let us jump into our team here because this is why you are here and tuning in. So let's start with the wicket-keeping position. And it has changed because I did have, I think, last iteration of my team, I had Joe Clark. I have switched to Tom Seifert, I think it's Seifert, of the Renegades bat wicketkeeper. 152k, so he is more expensive compared to Clark, who's around about that 117k. But I think in terms of, what I spoke about in the previous videos, the tactics, strategy, I always talk about diversification. And I felt as though I had one too many stars. And I'm a little bit worried about how they're going to perform to start the season. It's hard to really get a read on both of these Melbourne teams, really. I will mention that. But I think the Stars facing the Scorchers first up on the Scorchers home deck just does have me a little bit weary, especially, trying to get those extra batters. So, obviously Joe Clark is a wicketkeeper batter. If they do fall over with some cheap wickets against the Scorchers, in all likelihood, Clark is going to be a victim of that. So I have pivoted to Seifert, and he is in my starting spot. On the bench, I do have Jake Doran, and he is there as that loophole option, as I spoke of in previous videos. So obviously with my VC, I'll speak about that in a moment as to who that is. But yeah, obviously if my VC pops off with a nice score, I will be able to bench Seifert and bring on Doran and then put the captaincy on Doran. Moving on to the batsman category, and we do have Matt Short, the one constant in my team that has not changed. And I spoke about him at length in terms of, if you're not starting with him in your team, that's up to you, totally up to you. But I recommend starting him just because at his current price point, if he happens to have a massive game first up in round one, you're going to need to find that extra coin. And considering that he is priced at 304.2K, that is a fair chunk of coin to try and find to bring him into your team. So I think just, remove the headache and start him in the team from the get-go, and you won't have to worry about it. If you are fading him, you're obviously hoping that he does have a little bit of a down game. I do expect him to roll the arm over and bowl some maybe 1 or 2 overs, potentially maybe a little bit more. But with the bat, we all know how lethal he is. And the fact that he is facing the Sydney Thunder first up, does give me a little bit of confidence, because the Thunder, I expect, will be struggling yet again, as they have in previous seasons. And he should have a bit of a day out, should Matt Short. Next up alongside him is another striker in Jamie Overton, bat bowler, and is someone that I think everyone needs to have, considering that the strikers have the double in round 2. Whether or not you start him in your starting team is totally up to you, but I think he is someone that you definitely need for round 2. Probably one of the better all-rounders for the strikers, considering their double in round 2. And alongside him, I have Bo Webster, the big slug. So he was selected for the test team for Australia, but he has been released, thankfully, and will be available for the first double for the Stars. I think he's someone that, in the past, I've tried to fade. When I've faded him, he's popped off, and when I've started him, he's gone crap. So hopefully this time around, the fortune reverses in that respect for me, and can have a nice game first up in the first 2 games. Alongside him is another Stars player in Tom Curran, bat bowler, one of my favourite players in the BBL, but also in SuperCoach BBL. He's treated me so well in the past, and he has that favourable role, as I've spoken of in previous videos, bowling those death overs, can pick up cheap wickets, but also is very, very handy with the bat, nice strike rate, all that sort of stuff. So he is someone that I think should be in pretty much 99% of teams to start the season. Again, up to you if you want to fade him, but I think he's someone that, as you can see there, is a vice captain candidate. So he's my vice captain heading into round 1. And, you need to sort of whack the VC on a player that has a really high upside, and Curran definitely has that. Given an all-rounder as well as a bat bowler, gives you a couple of bites of the cherry to punch out a very, very nice score. So fingers crossed he can do that, and we can lock in his score as the captain if he does score well. Next up, we have Marcus Stoinis, the big Hulk. I just think he's underpriced. I spoke about it in the previous video, 84.2K. Given he is in pretty reasonable nick, good form, I think you can take the gamble on him. He's got the 2 games first up in round 1. And, it all, to me, culminates in, he's someone that is low risk, high upside, as we know with Stoinis. And without Maxi being there, I think there might be more, reliance upon Stoin to really step into the fold, to be that big hitter and clear the ropes. Hopefully he can actually do that, because in the past, as we know, he started the season like absolute dirt. But he's had a couple of good games here and there, but I think he's had a really nice run, as I said, coming into the BBL, been in some nice form. I don't know if he's going to be bowling, because if you have a look at the Stars lineup, they have quite a number of bowling options, obviously with the inclusion of Curran and Mackenzie as well. It just, I guess, adds to their bowling arsenal, and there's less reliance upon Stoin to roll the arm over. I think he has done so in the previous games that he has played for T20 and whatnot. But yeah, I think with Stoin, he is someone that is, as I said, low risk, high upside. On the bench here, I do, in this spot here in particular, the first bench spot, I'm unsure as to who I'm going to, select. At the moment, I've got Basley here, crossing from the Heat, now at the Strikers. Did sustain, I think it was a side strain he did have, but he is, by reports, fit. We'll wait and see if he actually gets a game, because that's the one thing that I'm worried about. I don't know if he is going to be in the starting lineup for the Strikers. If he is, at 58.5K as an all-rounder, I don't know again if he's going to be bowling, but he's someone that I think at that price point could potentially become a bit of a cash cow. And that factored in with also that the strikers have the double in round two. It just means that it gives you an extra player for that round two game. Again, it is a bit of a gamble because he's not entrenched in their starting team. So we'll wait and see if he is selected for round one. If he is, I'll stick with him. If he's not, I'll probably have to pivot to the other guy that I had in this position, which was Renshaw from the Heat. Another player that I think could be a really nice cash cow, Renshaw, plays the Stars first up in round one. So he's someone that could make a little bit of coin. And that's kind of the mindset here in this position and pretty much most of the interchange spots that I have in my team. Next up, alongside him on the bench, I should say, is Constas. So that he's an absolute young gun. He's Constas, scored a ton in the Prime Minister's 11 and in some really, really nice nick. Without Maddinson being there, who has been virtually ruled out for the tournament after breaking his finger, I think it was. It means now that there is a spot there definitely for him to carve out. And as I said, he's had that really nice form line. He's someone that I think is an absolute gun and should be a very, very nice cash cow to us at that bottom price, 39.5k. Now, switching over to the bowlers here, I have opted to lean upon one of my favourites here in Jai Richardson. I spoke about it in the previous video. He is extreme value at 130k. I think in previous seasons he's round about been, that 190k, 180k point sort of starting price. And I think to get him at the 60k discount, I know he had a really terrible season last year, but it was an anomaly really. It was the only season I think that he's had in his time in the BBL where he's been scoring that poo. So I think it is an anomaly. He was battling injury last year. I will say as well, speaking of which, he did dislocate his shoulder in a Shield game, but he did come back on field for that game and get another wicket as well. So I think he is fit by all reports, and I will start him in my team considering the Scorchers have the double in round two. So just keeping that in mind. Otherwise, I probably would fade him and probably play Abbott instead. But I think, he's someone that you definitely need for the double, and I am weighing upon him or leaning upon him to start well, which, his bowling is absolutely impeccable, especially playing the home game as well against the Stars. Just bodes well for him. If he's playing away first up, I would probably be more inclined to maybe fade him. But I think all that points towards, hopefully, knock on wood, Richo having a very nice start to the season. Alongside him, and there are a couple of players here that are extreme value, but Tom Rogers, I don't think he was in my team iteration that I released previous to this video, but Tom Rogers, that is from the Renegades, priced at 117.5k. I think he's an incredible value. Again, much like Richo, he had a down year and probably should be starting the season if he did have a season similar to his previous ones where he was averaging 40 odd or upwards of that. He would be starting priced at around about 150k. So I think he is really incredible value. Is someone that can actually swing the willow as well, and also get some really nice wickets when he's got the ball in hand. So I'm taking the punt with him. I think at last check he was in only 8-9% of teams maybe that may have gone up over the past few days. I haven't checked, but he is someone that I think is extreme value and is a very nice pot at that to potentially differentiate your side from the rest of the competition. We also have a couple of other Renegades players here. So we have Fergus O'Neill, who has been in ripping nick in the Shield, taking wickets left, right and centre, 107.5k. I didn't have him in my calculations up until maybe around about a week or two ago. And then just seeing the form line that he is in, and the fact that he did come into the season late last season and take some nice wickets says to me that he is someone you could probably take a little bit of a gamble on. They're playing the double first up. Why not? So, he is in my team. And we also have Adam Zampa as well. Now, he is sort of the third player here when we're talking about, on this line anyway, players that are underpriced. Again, another player who had a down year. Came in relatively underdone, or at least overworked for the BBL last season. I think they were coming off the World Cup, and he was just absolutely zonked, and his form line suffered as a result and was even rested at various stages as well. Comes into this tournament with, hasn't been in the best form, I will say, but I do think at that price point, You could probably otherwise get him at any other season when he has been in form at 120k plus. I think he is extreme value, and you're going to be hunting value this time of the year. And as someone that I think with a double first up, you can't go wrong. Then to round things out on field for the bowlers is Hamish McKenzie coming across from the Scorchers. In the practice game against the Renegades as well, took a wicket or two, and also actually scored about 40 odd with the bat as well, coming in sort of mid to late in the piece. 69.4k. I think everyone should have this bloke in their team. Usama Mir, who is sort of the first choice spin bowler for the Stars, isn't available for the first round at the very least. The world's his oyster, really, McKenzie, because if he can able to snag a wicket or two, he could actually entrench his spot in the team and maybe play alongside Usama Mir, their international signing for the Stars. Moving on to the interchange for the bowlers, we have Henry Thornton, priced at 98.1k. Again, just preparing for the Strikers double in round two. I think he's underpriced. Not last season, but the season prior to that, he was an absolute revelation. And without the likes of Agar there and whatnot, I think he can really become a focal point in the bowling attack for the Strikers. And then alongside him, we have Buckingham, the young bowler for the Strikers. It was the practice game they had against the Thunder. He was able to pick up a couple of wickets, maybe 3 wickets it may have been, and a catch as well. So he's in some really nice form, and 39.5k is definitely a cash cow that you want to be jumping on. Again, all these players on the bench and even those on field, we want to make sure that they are selected for round one. So keep an eye on that. If Buckingham isn't selected for round one, which I probably think he will be, but if he's not, I might even just use him as a bit of a loophole with the view of hoping that he comes into the team proper over the next round or so, especially for round two for the Strikers double. But I think he's someone that is a genuine cash cow and a really, really nice one at that. And then to round things out with the flex, I do have Khan from the Renegades. He's an all-rounder bat bowler, priced at 117.5k. Now, I was kind of toing and froing between going, a Khan or going for, Cooper Connolly in particular. It's much of a muchness because the view here is if I start Khan, I'll be trading him out to probably Connolly or a Scorcher that's on the double. If I start with Connolly instead of Khan, it means that I'm saving a trade with the view of having Coops for his double in round two. So, I think I'm going to invest in Khan and get 2 bites of the cherry here with the double game round for the Renegades coming up first. For the number of double game players here, I end up having 9, I think, in total. So I've got Seifert, I've got Webster, Stoinis, Curran, Tom Rogers from the Renegades, O'Neill, Zampa, McKenzie, and Khan. So as you can see there, I've got 9 players. I've got 5 from the Renegades and 4 from the Stars. I'm a little bit worried, though, with having all of Rogers, O'Neill, Zampa, and Khan as sort of the bowlers. As I spoke about with regards to diversification, you don't want to be putting all your eggs in the one basket of one team, especially, putting hopes in, all the bowlers, virtually all the main bowlers for the Renegades to take wickets, because if they get absolutely trounced and they're not able to take any wickets, my team's going to suffer. So that's a bit of a risk that I am taking, but considering they are on the double, hopefully they can at least clean up in one of those 2 games, if not both. That'd be ideal. But that's kind of the risk that we're taking. Khan also is only in around about 9% of teams. He's a bit of a pod. I like that. And, I want to sort of differentiate my team from the rest of the competition, and fingers crossed that it works out for me. If it doesn't, it doesn't, but you've got to take risks in this game. And if you starting with a cookie cutter team and you're copying other people, it's really not going to work for you. So, it's all about the starting team. It's all about, selecting the right pods, but also, the right cash cows as well. And then off the back of that, trading is ever so important, probably in BBL SuperCoach more so than AFL SuperCoach, considering that the price changes are occurring after the first game, or the first round, I should say. And, you want to be getting on the front foot and planning 2-3 rounds in advance, which is what I've spoken about. So just a bit of a segue there as well. Let me roll across to a spreadsheet that I have actually put together, which helps me sort of just visualize the trades that I'm looking to make over, I guess, 2 rounds in advance from the one we're currently in. It just helps me in terms of working out guys that I want to target on the fly. Things obviously change from round by round, considering there are guys that lose money that you weren't expecting, and conversely, those guys that make money that you weren't expecting either. So you really need to be adjusting on the fly. But this is sort of a loose plan, and I just kind of do it 2 rounds in advance, because anything beyond that, it's just way too hard to try and work out. There is a bit of a loose plan that I have beyond that, but again, it always changes based upon, guys losing money or making money that you didn't think. So let me just find that, and I'll pop that on screen here. So for those people tuning to the audio podcast, I'll recommend just jumping onto YouTube here and checking out the video, just so you can digest it and see it in terms of what I have done here. But virtually, just to give you a bit of a breakdown for those tuning into the audio podcast, what I've done is I've listed here on an Excel spreadsheet the first 3 rounds from the top of the column. The left column is all the teams that are playing. And then column by column, I've put the number of players that I have for each team. And I've highlighted in blue those teams that have a double in that specific round. And it just gives a bit of a breakdown in terms of the 17 players that I have in my team and my squad, how many I have on the double, how many I have in preparation for doubles coming up, and, obviously with the buys in mind, guys that I want to get rid of from that team that have a buy coming up. So just to give you a bit of an example here, for round 1, I have 5 Adelaide Strikers. I have 0 Brisbane Heat, 1 Hobart Hurricane, which is Jake Doran, the loophole. And then in terms of the double game plays that I have, so highlighted in blue here is the Renegades and the Stars. For the Renegades, I have 5 players, and for the Stars, I have 4. For the Perth Scorchers, I have 1 player. Sydney Sixers, I don't have any at the moment. And Sydney Thunder, I have 1 in the form of Sam Constas. So that is a breakdown of round 1. For round 2, as you can see there, I already have 5 Strikers players. So for round 2, highlighted there in blue, they have the double. Brisbane Heat, I don't have any players again. And this is sort of a bit of an insight into players I'm looking to bring in to my team. So you'll notice here that for the Renegades, I have 5 players in round 1. For round 2, I plan to have 1. So I'm planning to use a boost here and trade out 4 out of the 5 of my Renegades players to trade to other players that are on a double. So the main thing I'm doing here is, as you can see here, I've still got 4 Melbourne Stars players as I do in round 1. Perth Scorchers, I go from 1 player to 4 in round 2. And it means that 3 of the 4 trades that I'm making will be for Perth Scorchers players. For the Sydney Sixers, I am looking to bring in potentially 1. So I've gone from 0 Sixers players in round 1 to 1 in round 2. In all likelihood, probably will be maybe an Edwards or a Philippi. And then for Sydney Thunder, that stays the same as well. 1 in round 1 and 1 in round 2. And then round 3, just going into that episode quickly, as you can see here, I'm looking to bring in 2 Brisbane Heat players. There are 3 teams on the double game week for this round. It is the Brisbane Heat, the Stars, and the Sixers. The Stars, you'll notice my strategy here is to keep them constant in my team across the first 3 rounds. Initially, I was thinking about maybe trading out 1 of the 4 players that I'm starting from the Stars, but I thought it's just a complete waste because I need to use a trade to bring in that player that I'm trading out for the Stars double in round 3. So they stay constant throughout. It means then that I can just maximize, those trades and what I'm making, and it means that those trades that I would otherwise be wasting on bringing in a player that I've traded out, I will be able to look further ahead and potentially bring in a player that has a double game coming up in subsequent rounds. So the Sixers have the double in round 3. I've gone from across the first 3 rounds. In round 1, 0 Sixers players. Round 2, I have 1. And then for round 3, I'll have 3. So I've, traded in 3 Sixers players across the subsequent 2 rounds after round 1. And as you can see there, the sort of plan, a loose plan that I've got here is to try and make the most of the double game weeks by having at least 8 to 9 players on the double. This is obviously fluid because if teams start crap or they get injuries or whatever, I've got to be prepared to pivot and adjust my strategy. But as you can see here, for round 1, Renegades and Stars, I'll have 9 on the double. For round 2, for the Strikers and Scorchers, I'll have 9. And then for round 3, with the Brisbane Heat, Melbourne Stars, and the Sixers all on the double, I have 4 from the Stars, 3 from the Sixers, and 2 from the Heat. So what's that? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players on the double. So I'm looking to at least try and do 8 to 9 players. The rounds beyond that I have listed in my spreadsheet, but I haven't shown them on screen here because, again, things can change, but it's sort of that same sort of framework. Listing those teams that have a bye coming up. So visually, you just know, okay, I've got to try and clear those players out of my team in preparation for the bye that they have. And likewise as well for those teams that I have listed in blue that have the double coming up, just to make sure that I am preparing to maximize on that by, bringing in players, whether it be a week early or on the week or the round, I should say, that they have the double to do it then and there. So that's virtually the ins and outs of the spreadsheet, formula that I use that I spoke about in the previous video. Someone in the comment section was talking about that and was hitting me up and saying, how does it all work? Have you made this yourself? I did indeed. And I used it last year to great effect as well. And actually had my best finished for BBL SuperCoach, which was in the top 300. So that's virtually it. That's my team. As I said, the only changes that I probably will be making on the fly is maybe, a Basley and, obviously any of those players that aren't being selected for round one. I'll need to pivot and work things out from there. But in terms of cash that I have in the bank, I've only got 38.1K at the moment, which I think is totally fine. I would obviously like to have a bit more, but given that I am starting with Matt Short and Overton as sort of the big price players, it means that I have less to play with. But yeah, you've got to, I think, have a bit of money in your bank, just because if you need to pivot, as I said, and change things up, you can do so. But that is virtually it, ladies and gents. And with that, I will be releasing my codes for the leagues that I have. So just to start things off, as you can see here on screen, and for people tuning into the audio podcast, make sure to join our open league. It is unlimited access, free to join, of course, and that code is 977381. And for the additional codes, first up, the exclusive league. There's only 5 spots remaining. Apologies for those people that have tried and can't get in. This is the league with the likes of SuperCoach Horse. It has Spills. It has Abs Magic. It has JP, the former AFL SuperCoach winner from 2022, so on and so forth. So we have a few people in Discord as well. And that code is 458846. So again, 458846. So that is the exclusive league on the 5 spots remaining in that. And then, of course, the other 20-man league, that code is 506157. So it's 506157. So jump into that if you haven't already. All the very best. And unfortunately, if all spots are filled, I do apologize. But as I said, feel free to jump into the open league and you can battle out with the likes of as I said, all those content creators, they are in that as well. So a bit of fun to keep the season interesting. But that's it, ladies and gents. Thanks, as always, for tuning in. If you have any comments and questions, list them down below. I will be happy to help you out where I can. Any questions with regards to your own team, specific players, my team, always happy to have a chat. And you can hit us up as well on Twitter. I am at DamoJ88. And, of course, it is at supercoach_edge. And hit us up on there. I'll be more active on the supercoach_edge official account, obviously, so feel free to do that. I will say, before I finish up, I just really do appreciate those people that have subscribed to our channel in recent weeks as well, for people who have stumbled across our channel for the first time. So I really do appreciate the support. And if you're enjoying our content that we are putting out, feel free to do likewise as well, because the best way to let us know that you're enjoying our content is to hit that subscribe button. So thank you in advance. And with that, we will be back post round one to dissect our team and discuss hopefully what will be a round winning score from our team, but we'll have to wait and see. But again, big pointers to do. Don't just copy someone else's team, diversify your team and plan ahead. That is the name of the game when it comes to BBL SuperCoach. So again, thank you one and all, and we will catch you in the next one. All the best. See you then.